Good morning, evening, or afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I am the Director of Training, Support, and Documentation here for BNI Connect. I'm also a member here in the Rhode Island region in the United States. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today, and I'd especially like to welcome some of our overseas members that are up pretty late to join us. We have Angelica today on the webinar from Germany, who says that it's 9 o'clock there. So thank you so much for joining us. This is a live webinar, so that means that you are welcome to ask questions as we're going through the webinar. Today's topic is going to be the online slips and referral tracking program that is fairly new to BNI Connect. It's been live in the United States since late October. It has just gone live in some other countries throughout Europe as of April 10th. And it should be live worldwide by October 1st of this year. This webinar is scheduled for about a half hour of content, though I will always be happy to stay on these webinars as long as you have questions. I will stay on until every question is answered. The webinar is being recorded. It will be made available on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/BNI Connect. Going up to youtube.com BNI Connect Global, that will give you all of our webinars, so especially some special notices from Dr. Meisner, as well as a number of other recordings, about 100 of them in all. You can also find them by clicking on the question mark within BNI Connect. That will bring you to our support site, and if you scroll down towards the bottom, you'll see a section called Trainings, and in that section, a section for the webinars. And they're split out here chronologically by month so that you can review the ones that you attended, or you could review any of them. So let's take a look at the online slips and referral tracking program within BNI Connect. One of the great things that we can do now is all of those things that we typically pass at a meeting, so that's the referral slips, the one-to-one slips, the thank you for closed business, and the CEU slips, we can now pass online in BNI Connect. Now, there's a lot of great reasons for doing that, but the first of which is it now gives us a tracking mechanism for those slips. So typically when we pass a slip in now, it pretty much disappears. It goes into the POMS report as a number, but the details of those slips are no longer accessible because they're either sitting in the vice president's stack of rubber-banded slips, or if you save the yellow copies of the referral slips, then you probably have them in a shoebox somewhere. But now we have the ability to go back and review all of those going forward, at least for all the slips that were entered online. One of the other great things about this, if we have any vice presidents on the call with us today, or in some countries it's called the membership coordinator, it makes your jobs a little bit easier in that all of the slips that are entered online go directly into the POMS report. Now, you still have full control over the POMS report, so you can make adjustments as necessary or corrections, but at the very least, the numbers are already there for you to enter. Some other benefits of this are that with referrals, your referral partner automatically gets notified immediately about one of these incoming referrals. So it helps to shorten the referral process. So let's take a look at this in BNI Connect. And this is the home screen from when you first log into BNI Connect, and it's just broken into a couple of different parts here. Now, what we're going to see is that there's this My BNI Business page, and this is where we're going to do all of this activity today. Now, the top section up here, where it has all of the numbers, that is your POMS report. So it's really your personal POMS report showing you your activity for the last 12 months, as well as your lifetime in BNI. Now, one very important distinction when it comes to these numbers up at the top, these are the approved and submitted numbers, which means that on a weekly basis after your chapter meeting, your vice president goes in and they submit the POMS reports electronically into the system. Only after your weekly meeting, after your vice president has submitted that information, will these numbers be updated. So even as we're going to go through and we're going to submit some test referral slips, these numbers at top will not change right away. Only after your chapter meeting, when everybody has submitted their numbers, will this particular set of numbers at the top change. What you'll also notice is that there's a new field. We've always had referrals received, thank you for closed business given, referrals given, visitors one-to-ones, and CEUs. But there's a new number up here in this report as well. And that's the thank you for closed business received. This is a number that we've never really tracked before in BNI. And it's the amount of money that you've obtained in your company in the business. Now, because it was never tracked before, everybody started out, whenever they started using this new functionality, everybody starts out with a 0. The only way to have this number start to tally is by submitting the thank you for closed business slips online through BNI Connect. And the reason why is because traditionally, thank you for closed business slips are anonymous. So the person that produced the income gets thanked, but there was no way to track who received the income. Now it can remain both anonymous and show up on your profile, but again, only if you use the enter thank you for closed business slips online. So let's take a look at how we do some of these slips. How do we enter some of these slips into the system? Now again, from your My BNI Business page, you'll see the 4 top entries here all have the entering of the various slip types. We have the thank you for closed business slip, the referral slip, the one-to-one slip, and the CEU slip. I'm going to go ahead and enter a thank you for closed business slip now. Now the thank you for closed business slip looks just like the thank you for closed business slips that we traditionally pass in our meeting. All we need to do is pick somebody from our chapter. So I'm going to choose, let's say that I wanted to thank Ian Barlow for some closed business. He's the occupational therapist in our chapter, and it was a referral that generated $300 for my business. This was new business, and it was an outside referral. Now, the great thing is that I can even put some details into the comments section. The details that go into the comment section remains anonymous. It is only for your eyes only. It does not display in any reports or anywhere else in the system that anybody has access to besides you. So if you'd like to, you can actually put client names in here. So those of you that might be lawyers or doctors or therapists, or you just have a concern over confidentiality, client confidentiality, you can still put details in here if you would like to. So I could put that this was for James Smith, and it was a help on their network. Now, once I've filled out all the information, I can go ahead and click Save and New, and what that'll do is that will submit this slip, and it will also open up a brand new slip, so I can input multiple slips, one after the other after the other. If I click the Submit button, it will just enter this single thank you for closed business slip and bring me back to my home screen. And finally, if I'd like to just cancel and not submit anything, I could hit the Close button. I'm going to go ahead and click the Save and New because I have another thank you for closed business slip that I'd like to enter right away. So it pulled up another blank slip for me that I can enter. Now the other thing that you can do with these slips is it gives us the ability to do cross-chapter slips, meaning that if I have a relationship with, let's say, a member that's in another chapter within my area, I could also submit a slip either with a referral for them, with a one-to-one for them, or with a thank you for closed business for them. So I have a contact that I use in another chapter. His name is Alex Agronic, and unfortunately I can never remember how to spell his last name, but that's okay because I only need to put the first couple of letters of his name in, and then click Search. And I can see that it came up with a couple of results here for me, an Alex Braga and an Alex Agronic. So I can see that this is the guy I want from Capital Business Products, and I can click the little dot next to his name. That will select Alex. It will ask me if I'm sure. I say OK. And now I'll notice that we're going to be giving a thank you to Alex Agronik. And this was a referral in the amount of $2,000 that I'd like to thank him for. And notice I'm not putting any punctuation or anything in here. I'm just going to put the straight number. It will reject the slip if you end up putting the dollar signs in. Now this was repeat business and it was an inside referral. And this was helping him with his systems, so a Tier 1 referral. Now if I'd like to submit another one right away, again I can click Save and New, or I can just click Submit. So I'm going to click Submit so I go back to my home screen. So I just entered those two thank you for closed business. Now the great thing about this is that it will automatically go into my thank you for closed business report. So if I click this link, a couple of links down, my thank you for closed business, I can pull up my slips that I've entered for a certain period of time. Now I can go back as long as I'd like. That would be okay. But by default, it's going to show me the last 6 months. So if I go ahead and click Go, I can see all of those slips that I've entered for the last 6 months. Now what I love about this as a member is that before this system, there was really no way to track this unless I was keeping a separate spreadsheet. Now that's all tracked for me automatically. So, 3, 4, 5 months from now, let's say Frank Karpowitz comes to me and says, hey, I had passed your referral a while ago. Did you ever do the thank you for closed business for that referral? Well, I can go back to this system here and I can say, oh yeah, which one was it? I did a thank you for closed business on March 27th for $195 for Elwood Roberts, or I could have done one that was part of the thank you for closed business that I did on the 27th for some other things. So you can really go back and modify it. This helps to correct the numbers too, because in the past we might have just submitted another slip just to cover our tracks. And we can see at the bottom of the list here were the 2 thank you for closed businesses that I submitted today. So let's take a look at the next kind of report, and that's the referrals. So this slip should look familiar. It is the same slip that we pass on a weekly basis for the referrals that we've generated for our chapter members. So again, we just need to drop down the list and pick the person from the list. And I have a referral for, let's say, Michael Ferry. He's an orthodontist that's in our group. And the referral is for, let's say, my daughter. And it's an inside referral. And I will be giving him a call. And I can put my address in and my phone number and my email address and any comments. I can rate this referral on a scale of 1 to 5. I'm going to give this one a 4. And again, I have the options to save and new. I can submit, or I can just close and cancel out of this referral. Now I'm going to go ahead and click Save and New. Now the great thing about that is that Dr. Ferry just received an email notifying him of that referral. So he can contact me or he can contact the other referrals immediately and get started on those. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. But I wanted to highlight that there's also the option to do a cross-chapter referral. So if you have a business associate in another chapter, maybe somebody not represented in your own chapter, or just somebody that you have a relationship with, you can search cross-chapter. So I have somebody, his name is Dave Cordero. I can, again, never remember whether it's EI or IE, so I'm just going to put the first couple of letters in, and I can click search, and here he is, and that's him in the CityBiz chapter and his company. So I'm going to go ahead and select David. Am I sure? Yes. And the referral is for George Smith. It's an outside referral. Gave the card. Phone number, the email address, and any comments. I can, again, rate this on a scale of 1 to 5, and this is a super hot referral, and click Submit. And again, David would have just received a referral notification for that referral. Now, if you'd like to know what these look like, here is an email that I received just a few days ago on a referral that came to me through BNI Connect. And this came immediately to my email. And it has all of the information that we entered into that online slip. So I can tell it's a BNI email, so it has the BNI logo in it. I can see the date that the referral was given, what type of referral it is, what the referral status is, who sent me the referral, what the rating of that referral is. I can see who the referral is. And the great thing is if I'm receiving this on my cell phone, I can actually just click the number here and start dialing the referral right away. I have the comments. And again, if I need to follow up with the referral giver, all of the referral giver's information is here at the bottom of the email. If I do hit reply to this email, it will go back to George. And as with the thank you for closed business, there is a corresponding report for this, and that's the My Referrals Report. So if I click the My Referrals Report, it's going to show me my past referrals for the past month by default, but again, I can change this date to anything I'd like. So if I'd like to go back and let's say look the last 6 months or so, and click Go. And I'll see all the details of the referrals that I passed. So this way I can go back, and again, if Phil Jaber comes to me and said, hey, I lost the information for that referral that you passed me a little while ago. I lost the slip. I can't find the email. You can go back to your referrals given report and look up all the details. So it's, oh, yeah, no problem. That one was for Greg, and it was, here's his phone number, here's his email address, and here's the details of that particular referral. Now, one thing I'd like you to note on this report, and we'll come back to this a little later, but you'll see that there's a tracking sheet status on this as well. So when you receive referrals in BNI, they go into a referral tracking sheet, and you can mark the status of that referral, whether it's new, whether it's open, whether it's pending, whether it's closed. And that's a two-way communication about that referral with the referral giver. So in this case, once Phil Jaber or Shannon or Ken, once they mark these referrals as done, I will see that status in my tracking sheet. Let's take a look at the next type of slip that we can enter, and that's the one-to-one slips. And again, we have the option to select somebody from our chapter or search for a member in another chapter. So I can choose the person from my list. Let's say I did a one-to-one with Seth Jacobson. He is the photographer in our chapter. We can mark down who initiated this conversation, the location, the topics of conversation, and the date that we had our one-to-one. Now, the great thing about the one-to-one slips is that once we submit them, Not only does it go into our My One-to-One report, which is listed here, and by default it's going to show us the next 6 months or the past 6 months, but it automatically enters it into both people's one-to-ones. So when this happens, only one person needs to submit the one-to-one form online in BNI Connect, and both people will get credit for it, and it will go into both people's one-to-one report. Now, what I love about this from a member standpoint is that this really helps you to be more effective in BNI. I'm sure this has never happened to you, but you're sitting in your BNI meeting, and everybody's going around and they're giving their 60-second presentations. And you look across the room, and you say, hey, you know what? Brian and I used to be really good referral partners, but I haven't been able to pass him a referral in months and months, or he hasn't passed me a referral in months and months. I wonder why that is. Well, the key to referrals in BNI is to do one-to-ones. And you can very easily go back and look at your one-to-ones that you've done. I can see here that I haven't done a one-to-one with Brian Fish since December. Well, that's probably affecting our ability to refer to one another. We should really schedule a one-to-one and get together and get back in touch with each other's businesses. This report helps you to do that and to maximize your relationships in BNI. Now, the final type of slip that we can enter is the CEU slips. CEU stands for Chapter Education Units. And you can see here that we have the number of official categories as recognized by BNI, and their credits per course. Now, all you need to do is type in your quantity of each that you did. It will automatically calculate out the credits. So let's say that I read SuccessNet this week. I also attended a member success program, and I went to 2 workshops, and I finally finished that one book that I was reading by Dr. Meisner. I can see that it calculated out all of the credits for me, especially in this case where I had 2 of these. It calculated out the 10 credits, and it gives me my total CEU credits for the week. And I can go ahead and click Submit. And as with all of the other types of slips, you'll notice that there's a My CEU report as well. It's going to, by default, show you the last 6 months, and I can click Go. And here's my CEU report. And I can see my totals down at the bottom. So that's how to submit slips in BNI Connect. Now, what happens when you receive a referral? You'll notice right here in the middle of those 2 things is the referral tracking sheet. Now, the referral tracking sheet is where your received referrals will go. So not only do you get an email notification that you have received a referral, but it will go into your referral tracking sheet. Now, this comes directly from the Member Success Program. If you think back to when you took Member Success, there was a referral tracking sheet, really a spreadsheet that you could fill out. And that's really the same as what this concept is. So I can pick a date for how long I'd like to look at my referrals for. It's going to go back 1 month by default. And I can see that I have a received referral in here. Now, if I click on the Edit button, I can go in and fill out the details of this particular referral. So I can adjust any of the information that I'd like to in here. I can re-rate it if I'd like to. And I can also mark the status. So you'll see that I marked in that I contacted this person on the 15th, the same day I received the referral. I met with them the same day. Now, I can also put in when I followed up with them. Let's say that I followed up with them a week later to make sure that everything was okay. And then I can also mark the status, whether it's new, pending, closed, or a no sale. And this particular one is closed. I can go ahead and submit that. Now, one thing to note is that this status is shared with the My Referrals report for the referral giver. So in this case, this was a referral from George in my chapter. George's My Referral report will show that this referral is marked as closed. So what we're really doing is we're taking the whole referral process full circle. So we can immediately start on that referral, and once it's done, we can notify via BNI Connect and the referral tracking sheet. Our referral source gets notified of the follow-up of that. Now with the referral tracking sheet, let's say that your referral partners aren't using BNI Connect yet, but you still would like to use this as a means of tracking referrals. And maybe they're even referrals that you received from other sources, such as from a chamber. But you'd still like to be able to track the progress of those here in BNI Connect. You can do that by clicking the Add New button. And this allows you to create your own referral tracking line within the system. You can just fill out the information just like you would on a referral slip. Now note that these do not impact the POMS report. So this is just for your own usage if you would like to track additional referrals. I'm going to click the Home button to go back to my home screen. And of course, there's a referral tracking report associated with that that will give you all of these details just in a line-by-line format. Now, a lot of people ask, well, what do I do at the meeting now? We've submitted all of these slips online. How am I going to be included for the door prize? Well, you can still be included for the door prize, and here's how. There's a personal meeting activity report down here at the bottom. Now, it's going to show you the last week's worth of activity, but let's say that you miss a meeting or you had sent a substitute and you need to catch up with 2 weeks. You can do that by changing the date. So let's say I need to go back for 2 weeks worth of activity. Well, I can choose to go back 2 weeks. Now, once I click Go, what we'll see is that this shows us a report that we can print out, and it has our referral slips here, as well as all of the other information. Now, the great thing about this report is that once we print this, the slips here are approximately the same size and shape as a traditional referral slip. So you can actually take a pair of scissors and cut this out and drop this into the bowl when it comes around and it's your turn to pass in your referrals and testimonials and one-to-ones. And it also organizes all of the rest of this information for you to be able to read off to the rest of the chapter. Now, there's no need to fill in additional slips for those because they're already reported in the POMS report. But when it comes to you, you can very quickly be able to stand up and say, I'd like to thank Janet Burtwell for $250, Alex for $1,000, Ian for $300, Alex for $2,000. I had a one-to-one with Dean and Seth, and I had 14 CEUs last week and 18 CEUs this week. And I had a referral for James and Michael and David, and be able to pass those into the referral bucket or hat or jug or jar or whatever it is that you pass around your particular chapter meeting. So what does this look like for the vice presidents of the chapter? Well, the vice presidents, what you'll see is that this information is already in your POMS report. So let me go over to my chapter. I'm in the Rhode Island region in my Wakefield. And I'm going to go to Enter a POMS Report. Oh, looks like I took that out of my shortcut list, so I'm going to go to Operations Chapter. Go to Meeting Management, and I'm going to enter a POMS report. So our chapter meetings are on Thursdays, so the next POMS report would be on the 13th, and I can click Enter POMS. And what we'll see here is all of those slips that you just saw me enter here in BNI Connect are listed on the POMS report already. So here's that thank you for closed business to Ian Barlow that I passed. We can also see a referral received to Michael Ferry that I passed. the one-to-one that I had with Seth Jacobson. And you can see that I have a referral given inside, outside, and a one-to-one listed, as well as the CEUs that I tracked. So for you VPs out there, or for those of you that have never been a vice president or have never substituted or entered a POMS report, typically a vice president, they get a one-to-one, and let's say that Greg and myself did a one-to-one. I'd have to find Greg in the list here, enter a 1, scroll down, find the other person in the list, do a 1, change that to a 2. Then I have to find the next person, and it's a lot of scrolling and going back and forth. This makes the process a lot easier for the vice presidents. Now, vice presidents, also, you have full control over this. So let's say that this turned out to not be a true thank you for closed business. You can remove it. Or let's say that I accidentally entered 300, but I really meant it to be 3,000. I can get in touch with my vice president and say, hey, by the way, that was supposed to be 3,000. Can you put another 0 on there for me? Now, once this is submitted, then the numbers on the home screen will change. So again, going back to my home screen, now that I've submitted that report, these numbers on the My BNI business page will change. But again, that will only change once a week. So we're getting to the bottom of the hour. I do see we have a couple of questions. If there is anybody that needs to leave right away at the bottom of the hour, I do want to thank you for your time today and remind you that this is being recorded, including all of the upcoming questions. Those will be recorded as well. Will be made available on our youtube.com/BNI Connect global site. And also, if you go to support.bniconnect.com or click this little question mark in the upper right-hand corner. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of these questions. Angela says, does this really already work in the United States, or is this a new tool? I don't think we have this page here in Germany. I will check afterwards. We still, at least the normal members, do this on paper. Angelica, the thing to check with is see if you have this My BNI business page. There are, right now, the United States is definitely using this. There are a number of countries around the world that are already using the online slips, I think another dozen countries. And we've been using it since, I believe it was October 27th of 2012. There was a number of countries, I believe the UK and I know Japan and a couple of other countries that started using this on April 1st. And all the remaining countries, it will be turned on no later than October 1st of this year. But for more information about that, please check with your director consultant, your executive director, your national director, and they'll be able to give you more information about the time scale of when that would be entered. So hopefully that helps, Angelica. All right, we have Maureen. Maureen says, when we have visitors, how is that recorded? And yes, visitors are also automatically recorded into the POMS report on a weekly basis. Now, there's a little bit of a culture shift with this one right now, although it is being reanalyzed to see if we can make changes to it. But when slips and visitors are entered, they always go into the next meeting's report. So that means that when you're entering a visitor into the system, it's actually going into the meeting after they visited for the actual quote-unquote credit for the person that invited them. So let's take a look at that real quick. Let's say that I'm the visitor host, and I'm going to go to Operations Chapter, and I add a visitor. So what you'll see on this form is that there is the invited by. Now, whoever is selected from this invited by column, they will get the credit on the POMS report for inviting that visitor. So that being said, again, it's usually going to end up being in the week after the person visited, and that's simply due to the timing of entering the slips. So hopefully that helps, Maureen. Now, the other thing I'll show you is that these all do show up in, there's another tool for vice presidents. If I go to meeting management, and I can view any POMs in the system. Let me go back a couple of months, and this is my actual chapter. So what I'd like to do is go and let me go back a couple of weeks to the 18th of April. For every POMs report, there is also, you'll see, a button that says the Slips Audit Report. And what this is all of the activity for that particular chapter meeting that was entered online. So this, for the vice presidents, this is really your audit report, your balance sheet between the physical slips that you're entering and the slips that were entered online through BNI Connect. So we can see that whole list of slips. Now, this particular meeting didn't have any visitors, but the visitors would show up on this slip as well. So hopefully that helps, Maureen. All right, Daryl has a question. If you create a thank you for closed business to a member of another chapter, do the numbers reflect in your chapter or the member of the other chapter? And they reflect in the member of the other chapter. So this is actually going now correctly to the person that generated the business. So if you remember, I passed a referral a couple of minutes ago, or a thank you for closed business for Alex Agronik, who is a member in another chapter. So if I go back to that chapter and I look at the POMS report for that chapter, and I believe he was in the, which chapter was he in? I don't even remember. I think it was the Referral Pros chapter. Oh, it wasn't the Referral Pros chapter. Let me see if I can find this for you here. I can't remember what chapter he is in. So, but it would show up in his particular chapter that he is a member of. Oh, let's see. We have one here for Dave Cordero, I believe. And this is the draft report, and here's the referral that I passed to him, and it's showing up for Dave Cordero under his profile. And again, the thank you for closed business would also show up in that person's chapter. So hopefully that answers your question, Daryl. Emily says, some of our members are saying not all of their CEUs are shown in their My BNI business. The VP enters everything. What would the other reason be for not having it shown on this page? Emily, the My BNI business, this is a direct reflection of the POMS report. So everything except for thank you for closed business received, whether you enter a slip manually on paper or enter a slip via the online slips program, it doesn't matter. This number is a reflection of exactly what's in the POMS report. You can cross-reference that by pulling a summary POMS report, for example, or a personal POMS report for that date range, and they will show up there. What they may be saying, again, is there is a delay in when it shows up from the fact that when you enter the, let's say that your meeting is on a Thursday, and you enter your CEU slip on Tuesday. These numbers won't change, so I won't see those CEUs until my vice president combines all of the paper slips and the electronic slips and submits that POMS report. Usually there shouldn't be any more than a week delay in that, but if it's not showing up, it would definitely have a talk with the VP. Either the VP is erasing the CEUs out of the POMS, that's always a possibility, they're overriding what was in there, or they're not submitting their POMS reports on time. So if you do think it happens to be an actual data issue, we would be happy to research that for you. Just contact us here, support@bniconnect.com, but I would definitely check with your VP and or your director consultant first. So hopefully that helps, Emily. That was the last question I had listed. Does anybody else have any questions whatsoever about this or anything else in BNI Connect? I'd be happy to answer those questions now. While you're thinking up any last questions, reminder, BNI Connect Global on YouTube. Also, if you could, go to facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. This is our Facebook page. We do webinar announcements and reminders and tips and tricks and upgrade announcements and all of those things up here on our Facebook page as well, so please join us there. You can also join our webinar group if you would like announcements about the webinars here in BNI Connect. And if you found today's session useful, a good referral for me is to please go back to your chapters, go back to your regions, and let them know about these webinars. I would love to get more people on these webinars and get the knowledge out of our heads and into yours. We have another question here from Angelica. She says, what does MSP mean? MSP stands for Member Success Program. So I believe you guys have it in Germany as an MET, if I'm not mistaken, an MET. It's the same thing. It's the primary training that a member gets when they first join BNI. So, it's still MSP in Germany. And I know I've had some conversations with the German directors because I thought your acronym for it was MET about getting this changed to other languages. But right now it's a single symbol for MSP. Does that make sense, Angelica? So right now it's just a picture, but we're looking to possibly have alternate pictures for other languages. Anne has a question. She says, can members from other parts of the country see results for search from local members? Yes, absolutely. You can search and connect with members around the world in BNI Connect. Not just the ones here in the United States, but you could search for people in Germany, for example. So let's say, for example, that I wanted to connect with Angelica here that's on the call with us today. Well, I could do that by clicking on this magnifying glass up here in the upper right-hand corner. And I can put in a name or a keyword. So I was looking for limo drivers or florists or something like that. But if you know the person's name, it makes it even easier. So I'm going to do a search for Angelica. I think I have this spelled correctly. And I know that she's in Germany. So I'm going to choose Germany as a country. And I click Search. And this will return anybody with a name of Angelica in Germany. Now, it looks like there's 13 of them here. And if you come up with a list of a lot of results, like let's say I'm looking for florists in the United States, there's probably going to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Well, I can also use this secondary search. So I can start typing anything else that I'd like in here. So she had said that she's in Bonn, so I could start typing Bonn, and it will just filter out this one. Now, if I'd like to connect with her and possibly be able to talk about referrals or just talk with her offline or send emails, I could click this plus sign to add her to my connections. This will send her an email. I can customize this if I'd like to. I'd say, thanks for being on the webinar today. And it would allow us to be connected within BNI Connect, and we could then, she would be in my contacts list. So does that answer your question, Anne? Or is it Arnie? Arn, I think it is. So I apologize for that. So if anybody would like to connect with me, feel free. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm in the United States, and I'd love to get connected with you here in BNI Connect. All right, we have another question here from Annette. Annette says, what CEU category does this webinar qualify as? So if you were to enter this as a CEU for this week, I would click on the Enter CEUs button, and you notice there is nothing here for webinar. This is based on the original and current, right now, official SLIPS program in BNI. So there is not a particular category for webinar. Now, before you go ahead and do this, I invite you to please speak with your chapter director consultant or your executive director. What some regions do is they will just use this as one of these one-credit courses here. If you notice, most of these are, the number of credits is approximately how long you've spent performing one of these activities. For example, listening to a BNI CD, those are generally about an hour long, so that's why this is approximately 1 credit. Podcasts are about 10 minutes long, 10 to 12 minutes. That's why 5 podcasts is 1 credit. So hopefully that explains it. Again, just check with your director consultant or your executive director to see if that's how they're tracking it in your region. Hopefully someday this will be updated with more current things on the CEU slip. So hopefully that answers your question, Annette. All right. That was the last question I have now. Does anybody have any other questions? Again, I am always happy to stay on these webinars or calls until all of your questions are answered. All right, if there's no additional questions, I would like to thank everybody for their time today. Thank you for being on this webinar. Again, a good referral for me. Please do let your other BNI members know about these webinars. You can find the schedule here on support.bniconnect.com. You'll see the upcoming webinars. Our next webinar is tomorrow. And for those of you in Germany, it's a little bit earlier. This one's at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, or I believe that should be about 4 or 5 p.m. in Germany. And that one is Building VCP with BNI Connect. Also, going through your entire member profile, how to fill those out, some best practices, and where all of this information shows up within BNI Connect. So that's our webinar for tomorrow. We'd love to see some of you on that call as well. And again, please let your other chapter members and your regions know about these webinars. Reminder to check us out on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Again, thank you everybody for your time today. I appreciate you being here. And happy connecting, everyone. Have a great day.